We got Murphy, we got Esdras, we got Gabriel. What's up, my friends? ¿Cómo están? ¿Cómo están todos? Buenos días. Guten Morgen. Ciao. Namaste. How's everyone? There we go. Who else do we got? We got Anthony as well. What's up, Anthony? Snake 2 PTO. Yeah, it's been a good week. It's been an interesting week. Not bad. Not a bad week, to be honest. Let's see. There we go. Casey, what's up, my friend? This I would lurk as I paint out my SSS map. That's great, man. Yeah, don't worry. We'll be right here. Anish, what's up, my friend? All good. How are you? We got we got Maxine says, I got a lot to ask you today. Hope you don't mind. Not at all, Maxine. Not at all. You're welcome to ask as many questions. It's actually going to be a relatively chill stream because we're going to be working on the weapon from last week. The frog was named Ignacio the frog. I'm still working on it. The thing is, there's a lot of repetitive things that I need to do on that one. I need to clean up some of the cloth. I need to clean up some of the skin. I need to clean up some of the different elements for the character. So I'm gonna continue working on it. I'm doing it on my free time, and once it's on a good position on the high poly, we'll probably have more streams with it. But I definitely want to finish that one. Like that one and this project that I'm doing right now, the sword. Those are two that I definitely want to have on my portfolio. Burke, what's up, my friend? Hello. Amireza says, I was just watching the Tyros tutorial. There you go. Yeah, Tyros. That's a big one. Let's see. Anthony says, Profe, do you recommend any person who do a course about Substance Designer? I mean, the guys at the official Substance YouTube channel, dude, that's a great content to start. And in the No Monk workshop, there are a couple of guys that do like Substance Designer courses, and they're like, the courses are very good. Sometimes the instructors are, everyone has a different style, right? I'm not saying they're bad or anything. It's just that they're not maybe as engaging as some of other courses that I've seen. However, the information, if you can get through the information and just get the main bits of the workflow, then it's really good. Let's see. Says, same here. I also want to ask so many doubts. Yeah. Again, this is going to be a relatively chilled stream, so we're gonna have some fun working on the weapon. I want to work on the what's the word? On polishing, right? Like we want to really push this high poly, and yeah, and then we're gonna be answering questions. Celestialis, I love that name. Great name. Hello. Burke says, these days I'm a little bit obsessed for UE5. Do you recommend any resources or course about UE5, but like details courses? To be honest, when I was learning Unreal Engine, this was back in like 2018, when I had to really learn it in order to do the VR stuff that we do. I learned pretty much almost everything from the documentation, Burke. Like I'm not sure how good the documentation is on the newer versions, because I haven't really checked it too much, but I did learn a lot by just like going through the documentation, understanding the tools, following some of the exercises that they have on the main website, and that was like really good. But Isaki says, hey Ave, I was this close to falling asleep, waiting for the stream to start, then boom, you showed up. There we are. Here we are, my friend. Here we are. How can we make silk material in Substance Painter? Silk? You mean like this very thin threads? I mean, you need a lot of resolution, definitely. There are some plugins. I saw a plugin the other day. Let me look for it. I don't have it. Like, I haven't gotten it, but I'm definitely thinking about getting it. One second. Here. I'll show it in just a second as soon as we start with the stream. It's a plugin. It's for Zbrush. Again, I haven't tried it, so I'm not sure how good it is. But if you want to do like spider webs and all of this, like cobwebs and these things in your scene, these are a good option. And I think you can export this, guys. I think you can export them and then just use them as a mesh on your main projects. I'll show it in just a second. I just need to finish something else first here on the setup, and then I'll show it. Ave, are there any courses for Substance Painter that covers all the levels? Well, I got my Substance Painter course. I think that one's really good for beginner and intermediate level, like artists. You're gonna be able to find like a lot of cool information in there. If you want to go a little bit more advanced, I think once you take like my course, you can pretty much just go tool by tool and learn some of the workflows that you might need. I haven't seen like a really super advanced Substance course. But yeah, like check my course on the site. It should be here in the description. I'll show it in just a second as well. Let's see. Yeah, Burke, they have in the Unreal documentation, they have a couple of game demos. For instance, they show you how to do a temple run sort of a game, like Infinite Runner, where the characters just like running and avoiding obstacles. I did that one again, like 6-7 years ago, and I did it mainly just to understand the main process, how blueprints work, how they communicate with each other, how do we send information from one side to another. And of course, like the stuff that we do in VR is relatively simple, but just having those foundations and understanding of the engine, I think it's quite valuable. Have I done any videos rendering characters in Unreal? I don't think I have a video here on the YouTube channel. I do show how to like bring some stuff into Unreal on some of the courses, like the anatomy course, I think. No, not the anatomy, no, the substance course actually. At the end, I show you how to connect everything on Unreal Engine. But yeah, it's I mostly use Marmoset for rendering purposes, to be honest. See, what are we missing? Okay, Nietzsche's, what's up, my friend? Hello, there we go. You guys ready? You guys ready for this? Sahari says, if I watch this, I will learn about Zbrush as a beginner. Yes, you will definitely learn some tricks, but if you're a complete beginner, Saharia, then you definitely need to pick either the Zbrush course if you want, or just like keep watching some of the videos. I do have a very basic introduction to video or to Zbrush here on the channel as well. So there we go. First of all, I want to show off a little bit of something that Alan did. Some of you guys might already seen it on this past couple of weeks on the main videos. But now we have here on the live stream, and it's this little thing right here. Take a look at this. Nice, right? We got a cool transition there. Very nice little stinger to change from one scene to the other, thanks to our good friend Alan. Here it's again. Look at this. Yeah. I love it. Now we're gonna be switching scenes with style. So yeah, welcome my friends, welcome to today's live stream, to Friday's live stream. As you know, every single Friday we try to have a live stream and we go over 3D stuff. We have portfolio review, we have showcases, contests, sometimes we have giveaways. Today we're going to be doing, a chill stream. We're going to have fun, we're going to answer questions, and I'm going to be working on the dagger, right? The gold dagger that we were doing a couple of... Well, we started it last week. I kept working on it during the week a little bit to polish some of the details. And we're going to be working on it today. We're going to finish it, hopefully, the high poly. And we're going to be ready for, like, the next stage, okay? So let's now go here to the main stream. There you go, with our cool transition. Where is my display? There you go. Thank you, Johan Gilsby. And hello as well to you. Did the lantern... Yeah, the lantern fell the other day. I was doing some like movements here on the studio, and the lantern fell, and now it's a little bit lower. I need to bring it a little bit higher for next time. But yeah, it's hanging a little bit low. For those of you that are new to the channel, we did that lantern earlier this year. We sculpted it, modeled it, and everything on stream. And then I 3D printed that. It 3D printed that so that we can have this very nice dungeon-esque look here on the studio. Neville, what's up, my friend? Malik. Let's see. Natalia says, I'm almost finishing my career animation and I'm thinking about buying my first tablet with screen. Do you recommend Canvas 16 Gen 3? Yes. Yes, Natalia, I do recommend it. Right now, I'm using the Canvas 19. I'm not sure what gen it is, but it's the Canvas 19. It's a little bit bigger. But the 16 Gen 3 is the one that I have with my laptop back at the house. So I use that one quite a bit. Like, anytime I'm working on the laptop, I'm using the Canvas 16 Gen 3. It's really good. It has the Pentec 4, which is quite nice. It's quite affordable, I would say, for a pen display. It's a pen display. It has 2K resolution, so that's also pretty nice. So in general, yeah, I really recommend that one. Yeah, no, it didn't. No, it didn't break. Since it was printed with filament, filament tends to be quite resistant. So this is the plugin that I was mentioning, guys. Someone was asking about like silk and cobwebs and things like that. I saw this a couple of days ago. Someone recommended it in Reddit, I think. It's called Spider C by Ignacio Cabrera Peña. It's on ArtStation. It's only $3, $3.50. So it looks like it could work to generate all of these little things. There was a plugin like this for Maya a while back. But as long as you could export these things as like either very thin strips of polygons or some other stuff, it should be a good option if you want to do webs. So yeah, if you guys want to try it, then let me know if it works. That'll be great, and maybe I can showcase it here on the stream as well. Spider C. It's a Zbrush plugin by, again, Ignacio Cabrera Peña. There we go. Let's see, what are we missing? Yeah, there's a couple of like communities that are really good with Unreal as well, and they are sharing all of stuff and workflows and things like that. So if you're good at again, like this sort of like self-thought approach, that's another very nice thing that you can do. Is it actual geometry? It has to be. It has to be some sort of like geometry. I think it's something like fiber mesh, where it's like very thin, like poly strips or something like that. It has to do something like that. So this is the weapon. This is how it is now. Let me show you how it was before. So this is how we finished last time. So as you can see, this was last stream, and this is how we are today. So what I did here is I made the skull a little bit smaller, sharpen some of the elements, clean up some of the forms. The horns is the place where I spend the most time, just cleaning up all of the different like elements and details. And today I want to add the teeth, and I want to keep refining some of the elements. I do think that we should add some sort of like, maybe like a rune or some sort of like detail right here, just to sort of like finish the whole design. But yeah, let's start with the teeth. And for the teeth, I'm gonna keep it very simple. I'm gonna start with a sphere. And we're gonna push this forward. How did I make the horns look so good? Patience, my friend, just patience. And we're still gonna be cleaning, so I'm gonna show you some of the elements in just a second. But it was a lot of patience and a lot of just like polishing. So I'm gonna do this right here. The teeth, I want them to be quite squarish, let's say. So I'm using here the curve tool, as you can see, to really sort of like sharpen this thing, get some really like interesting planes. There we go. I'm gonna use Stream Dynamic now, and I'm using this new material. I also like wanted to try something a little bit different. This is an interesting material. I don't use this type of materials as often. This one, as you can see, it's sort of like highlighting the edges a little bit more. You can see the poly edges being highlighted, you know, a tad bit more. Normally I don't like this ones for like more traditional things or more realistic stuff, because they tend to contaminate or skew your perception of the forms a little bit too much. But this one is not bad for like this like stylized stuff. Your Dynamesh got the button project activate? No, I usually don't use project unless I'm working at really high densities. For this like initial like blockouts or setups, I don't use the project option. Project is good, don't get me wrong, but especially at the beginning stages where there's not much to project, you're just like wasting extra resources trying to project every single time you do that. There we go. Gotta be very careful with this very sharp points right there. I don't want to like hyper smooth this. For instance, this is a good place to sort of like dynamesh. I'm gonna dynamesh and I'm gonna keep polish turned on, so we can get like a little bit of a sharper effect. There we go. So it should look sharp, but not like extremely sharp. And one of the things that I want to make sure is that we have some like interesting planes on the bone. This material, Chrome Gods, this material got recommended by a friend of mine. It's this one is called Styled MC Gray. It's a full collection of materials, so you can see that they have all of this like stylized looks. Like this one looks pretty sick as well, right? This sort of like orangey. These are not the interesting thing is that these are not standard material. These are matte caps, right? So remember that matte caps, they do not react to light. So if I move the light around, there's no change. This have pretty much like the light bake in, but they're quite good. Let me check real quick the name of the artist that I got them from. Could be here on my ArtStation library. I literally bought them this week, to be honest. Let's see. My library. Another shout out today. There we go. So these are. There we go. These are the styled matte caps for Zbrush by Abimael Gonzalez. They're $1.50, and as you can see, there's like 10 of them, like 10 different variations. He even shares some subtools so you can check them. So you have this like C tools so that you can try them, a guide on how to use them. And as you can see, they're quite nice, especially for some like quick renders. They look very, very nice. So I'm using right now this one, the MC Gray clay material. The wet one is also quite nice. It gives a little bit more shine to the whole thing. But I do feel like this one showcases the crevices a little bit too much. Again, it really depends on what you want. Yeah, exactly. It's a good way to appreciate how the edge are going to be highlighting. And since we're going to be using some of that later on in the process, then it's a good way to do that. Grumbledump says, installed Zbrush this morning, very overwhelmed. Where do I start? I've done lots of hard surface modeling in Blender. Oh, my friend. So the best advice I can give you is to go to my site and check the free lessons. You don't need to buy the course. Just check the free lessons here on the Zbrush Stylized character. So the first couple of lessons, I believe it's like the Welcome to Zbrush, Interface, and Sculpting Basics. You're going to be able to understand, again, like the very basic stuff of Zbrush. Then if you want, of course, you can check the rest of the videos, but these are going to give you at least the very basic like introduction to the whole thing, okay? There you go, you're on Twitch now. And someone was asking about the Substance Painter stuff, right? So for Substance Painter, it's this one. Substance Painter from beginner to master. Another one of our biggest courses here. There we go. We got David on the house. What's up, David? Hello, hello. Someone did a message here. Grumbledoom says, I can help with that. Game jams are events where game devs get together and make a game in a short time limit, normally a week or 2 days. Yes, and a very interesting fact about game jams, my friends. A lot of the times, or some of the best games that we've seen in the indie world or in the indie department have actually come from game jams. So Hollow Knight is an excellent example. Hollow Knight, the first version of Hollow Knight was part of a game jam. And Team Cherry liked the idea so much that they decided to like continue working on it, and eventually became, well, what we know now as Hollow Knight. So game jams are an excellent way to get your ideas out there, to meet new people, to network, and to generate a product that could potentially become a very nice game later on. So let's reuse this one right here. This is why I wanted to do one single like a teeth. I'm just pressing Control and Alt to duplicate this a couple of times. And one of the things that I'm going to do here is I'm going to play with a concept called primary, secondary, and tertiary shapes, right? So we're going to have different variations on the sizes of this like teeth to really generate something that looks a little bit more interesting. So for instance, I really want to have some like intense fangs. So the fangs are going to be maybe a little bit bigger and a little bit longer than the rest of the elements. Maybe not that big though. Something like that. I know they're no longer matching with the like the bone things that we had here on the back, but we can fix that in just a second. There we go. A little bit smaller. And let's create a little bit of variation here on the last couple of like teeth or tooth. Maybe a little bit chunkier. There we go. See that? Now we have this very cool looking elements. I'm still gonna change this a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go with my move brush, and I want to give them, especially on the front part, a little bit more length. I'm just gonna sort of like push them because I really want to have like a little bit of a curvature with the teeth as well. And now the real test here is going to be the mirror and well. There we go. So it's not bad, but he kind of looks like a little bit goofy because of the spacing between the teeth, right? So we need to fix that. Let's see, we have a couple of questions. Do you think Blender will end up replacing Maya as the industry standard for 3D modeling? No. It's not going to end up replacing it, but it's going to be a really strong competition, right? So there's going to be a point where either you use Maya, Blender, 3D Studio Max, or any other one, and people are not going to care because you can pretty much model anywhere. So I don't think it's going to replace it. Like, I don't think Maya is going to die anytime soon. But it's not going to replace it, but it is going to be a strong competitor. And I can tell you this, like, when I started, this was back in 2011, there was a guy at the studio that I was at, and he used Blender. He was, like, a very Blender purist, and he wanted to do a lot of Blender stuff, and back then, everyone looked down at him. It was like, no, dude, you're just, like, shooting yourself on the foot trying to do everything in Blender. Blender's not good. It's not industry standard. He's like, no, it's good. It's going to be really good, whatever. And then 10 years in the future, right? Like now, if you tell me I work in Blender, I'm no longer going to make fun of you, or like I didn't make fun of him or anything. It's just like I'm not going to see that as a bad thing as we maybe saw that back in the day, right? Now it's perfectly valid to be working on Blender. So how do we fix that? Very simple. The only thing I need to do is I just need to push this a little bit closer together, right around there. There we go. And I do want to leave a little bit of a gap there. So let's try it again, mirror and weld. There we go. The only problem that I have is I don't want the teeth to be like merged together. So if I don't want that merged to be together, I need to do a different thing. Instead of mirror and weld, I need to do a normal mirror here. And by doing that, if I do other groups, this teeth should be split into its own thing. That way we're not affecting the rest of the element. But yeah, there we go. I like that. I like the fact that, as you can see, we're sort of like pointing towards like a center point right here. That gives me a nice form, pretty much. Let's increase the resolution of this one, turn on polish and Dynamesh. And let's start working on the new thing. They're like root canals or something like that for the teeth. So we need to just remove and replace these old ones with some cleaner ones right here. Let's see. Should I use series measure or do manual retopo for my portfolio? Kidney, it depends. What is it going to be for, right? So for instance, if I'm going to do this weapon and I'm rushing, I need to finish this relatively quickly, I'll just series measure. I don't need to do manual retopology because it's a weapon, it's not going to deform, it's just going to be attached to the hand of a character or whatever, so we can get away with having just like a quick clean series measure effect. But if it's a character, you definitely want to have like clean animation topology, right? Especially if it's going to deform. If it's an environment piece, you can even use decimation. I showed you that a couple of weeks ago. If you haven't seen that, we have a series about sculpting a stone archway, and I show different techniques there. And one of the techniques that I use on the retopology stages is the use of decimation as a way to just like generate the topology that we need. So it is possible. You don't always need to do manual retopology. It really depends on the piece. Okay. Shift says, hey, Abe, talking about work, what do you think about those jobs of refining AI stuff and the EA being bought? EA is interesting. We've criticized EA for a long time, right? Because of their practices and their focus. I'm not sure what's going to happen with EA. As for jobs that are going to need you to refine AI stuff, that's going to be more and more common. And we need to get comfortable with that. That happens with the graphic designers nowadays. That happens with photographers nowadays. So it's very common that people are going to be getting to a basic result or a simple result that they want, and then it's going to be up to us as artists to really get it to the next level. That's why I'm not that afraid of the whole AI what's the word, the whole AI conversation of taking our jobs. It's not going to take our jobs. It's definitely going to change our jobs, So maybe in the future, no one's gonna hire you to model a barrel. They're just gonna create the barrel in any like AI engine, and then they're gonna call you and they're going like, hey, I need you to take this barrel that I created with AI, and I need to have proper topology, or I need to have like a different variation on the textures, or I need to change some of the proportions, and you still need to know the tools, right? I know it's not gonna be the same as doing it from scratch, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, illustrations do that as well quite a bit, right, Becker? Okay, so let me show you something interesting, guys. As you know, I like using a custom interface, right? Right now I have my custom interface. It's a blue color, and I have some like things like the topological masking that we talked about a couple of days ago. We have the backface masking over here, my Dynamesh stuff. Well, if you've never done this sort of stuff where you customize your interface, here's how you do it. You just go preferences, configuration, enable customize. And once that's enabled, you can pretty much drag and drop anything anywhere on your interface. So for instance, let's say I want to use the move infinite the move infinite depth, which we use quite a bit. So if I have this one selected, I just go to brush, and over here it should be over here, Control Alt click, and just drag and drop into your interface. There we go. And now the move infinite depth is going to be there as part of my shelf so that I can quickly access it whenever I need it. Here's the thing though. I have a couple of brushes. You guys know these brushes. These are the orb brushes. They're really good. Really freaking good brushes, the orb brushes. And I would like to have them over here. Unfortunately, for you to have them over here, you need these brushes to be part of your like startup brushes. And how do we do that? Well, we need to navigate to our software or wherever the software is installed. In my case, it's right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the brushes, the orb brushes that I want. So normally I want the Clay Tubes Smooth. Is it that one? Yeah, it's the Clay Tube Smooth is good. I want the Cracks brush. I want the Edge Protect, Flatten Edge Protect. And I want the... probably the Orb Rock Details. So Orb Rock Details. So all of those. I'm going to Control C to copy them. Going to go back to Zbrush, and I need to go to C... Startup. There we go. And see Startup, I need to go to Brush Presets. Not Brush Presets, sorry. Or was it Brush Presets? I think it was Brush Presets. So we're gonna go here, and I'm gonna drop them right there. Okay. Let's do preferences. I'm gonna disable customize. I'm going to save the UI real quick. There we go. And then we're going to preferences, store configuration. So this is the basic configuration. And let's initialize Zbrush. So preferences. Well, let's save the file first, of course. Let's save this one real quick. And then we're going to say preferences, initialize Zbrush. Yes, there we go. And technically, if I'm not mistaken, if I go now to my brushes, the brushes, there you go, are right here. So Orb Flatten Edge, Orb Clay Tubes, Orb Cracks, and Orb Details, right? So those custom brushes are now here on my brush palette, which means that if I go again to preferences and I go to enable customize and I grab those brushes, right? I'm just going to grab them real quick. What I'm doing here by grabbing them is I'm saving them on this like section right here. And it's going to be a lot easier to just bring Orb Cracks. Oh, actually, let's take this one out. Let's take this one out. It's already there. So Orb Cracks right there. And then we're going to have Orb Flatten Edge. We're going to have Orb Clay Tubes. And we're going to have Orb Rock Details. There we go. So again, we go preferences, enable customize, save the UI, save that, yes, okay. And we do preferences and we do store configuration. There we go. That's it. So now anytime I'm open Zbrush, I'm going to have all of these brushes here. And especially when using a pen display, sometimes it's a lot easier to just click on that and keep working than do that. Would you ever share your custom? Yeah, it's share. It's what's the word? It's on the Google Drive, but yeah, I can share it later today. I'll update it because, well, the thing is, if I upload this one and you don't have the orb brushes, they're not gonna work, right? Like you're not gonna have anything here because it's trying to find something that's not actually there. Oh, Nitin Kumar, that's an awesome question, my friend. How can one improve their observation skills to improve their art? Oof, 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 oof. Such a good freaking question, man. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you. So let's say, what do you want to improve on art? Sculpting, texturing, rendering? Give me one of those trees, Nitin. Sculpting, texturing, or rendering. Which of those three like skills would you like to get better at? And I'll show you how I would study, because it's a little bit different. It's the same principle, but it's a little bit different depending on what you want to do. Yeah, so to save this on a startup, my friend, you just need to save them on this. You go to wherever Zbrush is installed, you go to C Startup, and then you go to Brushes, Brush Presets, and you save them here. So any brush that you want to have on your brush palette needs to be on this brush preset option. Maxine is saying texturing, but I'm asking Nitin. I'll talk about texturing. Actually, we did texturing a couple of weeks ago, Maxine, when someone asked me to do like a gone plastic thing, and I explained some of that stuff. But Nitin is saying mostly sculpting. Okay, so this is what you do. You look for a sculpture, like a classical sculpture that you like. Classical sculpture. Anything. You can go all the way to ancient, like Greece or Rome. You can go to like the Renaissance. Any sculpture that you think, or that you see the sculpture and you're like, oh, that looks like a very, very cool sculpture, right? So if you find one of those sculptures, let me find something that's not going to get us banned, for instance, like this one right here. It's an awesome one, right? This is Poseidon something. I don't know. Okay. Let's go here. And you need to be able, whenever you're studying something, you need to be able to find the important information within all that noise, right? So right now, when we see an image like this, we have a lot of noise. There's a lot of stuff going on. We have the light, we have the texture, we have the volumes. We need to learn how to simplify those elements into something that's a little bit more manageable. So for instance, if we focus on this region right here, I'm gonna simplify the deltoid into just a circular shape, okay, just a volume. And if we do that by generating this volume, sorry, I'm gonna be able to find the specific silhouette. That's the first thing that I want you guys to notice when you're learning about sculpt. Silhouette. You need to be able to see how the silhouette changes as it goes along the length of the arm. Once we understand silhouette, and again, this is the 2D shape that they were sort of like trying to find with this muscle, then we need to find the secondary shapes within this shape. So what do I see here? Well, I see a little bit of a highlight, right? This light right here, and I see a little bit of a shadow. That tells me that this right here is a secondary shape, and I can do another 2D shape of that secondary shape. There's going to be another secondary shape right here. Actually, let's do another color so it's easier to follow. So there's another secondary shape right here. And finally, let's use another color. There's another secondary shape right there. Okay, so that tells me that the deltoid has 3 separate volumes that make it up. And if you go and research the anatomy of the human body, you're gonna realize that there's the pectoral section, the clavicle section, and then we have the scapular section, right? So the deltoid has 3 main like groups of fibers that make up the whole volume. So we found the silhouette, we found the main volume, we found the secondary volumes, and now we find the 3-dimensionality of the shape, right? We understand how that form is flowing, how that form is generating this sort of like detail and pushing and generating, well, the whole section. And you can do this with every single part of the human body. Again, we simplify the chest into a very basic element. We maybe do like a little 3-dimensional shape, like a little block right here, as you can see right there. And then we start finding out the main shapes that make up this muscle. You do that with every single muscle, you work on that, and then you just start sculpting, right? Look at the reference and then transform that into the next one. How can I control the silhouette of every angle? You just need to look at every angle. And I mean, this dagger is a perfect example. So if I'm working on this thing right here, what I need to do is I need to look at it from the front, right? Look at it from the side and find where we have certain silhouettes that might not be working as much with general design principles that we want to have. So it's a matter of like analyzing, looking, and polishing all of these different elements, okay? I know it sounds a little bit tricky, and then that's the sort of like the practice side of things where you really need to spend a good chunk of time, right? Like, I'm not saying that this is going to take you forever to master, but you definitely you definitely need to spend a little bit of time making sure that you get these things properly like analyzed, let's say. Yeah, we have 360-degree angles. Well, you're going to have like a nice silhouette from all those angles because you don't know where the player is going to be doing it. Kang Meow says, hi Ave, I teach 3D in Maya, the whole production process. What particular specific project did you suggest to give my students that can help them focus on the fundamentals regardless if they want to go BFX or games? I do the dioramas, so those are a good way. When I learned Maya, they made us do like a room. So in my Maya course, where is it? There we go. This little Maya stylized world, we do a little like pirate island. And we do a little bit of like animation and everything just to get the information going, right? So this project is like 10 hours long. I'm not sure how long are your lessons. You can definitely make it a little bit more complex, but it's one of those things that you can do. Like these little dioramas or environments are always good. I don't really recommend characters to start with because characters are a lot more complex and a lot more tricky. But yeah, that's pretty much. Is that Photoshop for 3D rendering? What? No, this is Zbrush. Sunart says, what do you think about my previous message? I don't know if everyone's working on Maya in the studio. So there we go. So as an aspirant 3D environment artist, what do I have to focus on if I want to work at Riot Games, Maya or Blender? Probably Maya, to be honest. Probably Maya. But you need to learn hand-painted stuff, man. And it's tough. It's not the most easy thing to learn. It's very fun though. I love it. It's a very fun style, very cool. But just keep in mind that it's very artistic. One thing that I've realized with hand painted stuff, it's a very, very artistic art style, opposed to like the PVR stuff that we normally do. Hand painted stuff requires you to know a lot about light, color, composition, gradients, contrast. Like it requires a more artistic eye for the creation of successful assets. PVR stuff, since most of the materials are already pretty much done for us, they simplify the process quite a bit. I'm not saying that makes them, or that makes it like very, very easy. There's of course a level of complexity to everything, but I'm just saying that from an artistic view, I do think hand painted stuff is definitely a little bit more demanding. Grace Van Deer says, hello from Russia. I've been watching you for a year. Your content is absolutely amazing. I hope someday I can be as good as you. Now, man, you're not going to be as good as me. I want you to be better than me. I want you to be even like way, way better than me. I want you to be making amazing, amazing things. And hopefully you're going to be inspiring me one day. That's the beauty of art, my friends. We inspire each other. Every single thing that you do, you might not feel it right now. You might not think that it's happening right now. But maybe in the future, you will be the inspiration for someone else. And the sooner you realize that art is, of course, like there's like the job side of things, of course, there's a little bit of competition. But in terms of like the true art, the true passion for what we do, there's not competition. Every art is valuable. Every art is important. Everything can be a source of inspiration. And every single piece can be something that changes someone else's life. So I know it sounds very philosophical and very wishy-washy, but it's true. It's true. You never know how art is going to impact anyone. That's the beauty of it. That's one of the amazing things about being humans. The fact that these little decisions that we make into creating stuff, right? Games, movies, comic books, stories, they can really impact someone. And then take it from someone who didn't know or didn't realize this until a very few years ago. Like, look at this. We have people right now from where? We have people from India. We have people from Russia. We have people from Europe. We have people in Italy, in Mexico. There has to be someone from Latin America as well. The US, Canada. Like, I'm just a nobody. I'm just like a simple Mexican dude in the middle of nowhere doing some Zbrush for fun on a Friday morning. And hopefully, with a little bit of what I'm doing today, you guys are going to be feeling inspired to go and create your own stuff as well. That's the beauty of the moment we're living in right now. So yes, I know that the world is engulfed in chaos and a lot of like shit, pretty much. But there's also a lot of really, really, really cool stuff happening. Thank you, Chaseta. Thank you, my friend. There you go. Brazil, the UK. We need to do an Leal 3D world tour. And I need to go visit you guys. I want to taste all of the amazing food that you have in your own countries. I think the skull is in a good position. I like it. Let's work on this bone a little bit. See, something that I tend to be quite fearful about, and I'm gonna break that fear today, is I don't like jumping into higher subdivision levels quite often. So I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna start working on this bone. And one of the things I want to do is I want to start like really adding some more interesting detail here, without being afraid of like pushing the levels. I've really been thinking about 3D printing this weapon like real size with like filament, of course, because resin would be too frail. So we'll probably do that. We'll probably 3D print this this weapon later on. My friend says I'm new. I can never pronounce that one. When? I think you pronounce it like when. Because if I pronounce it like how I read it in Spanish, it would be like Nguyen. But that sounds like very, very bad. I think it's like when, right? Or something like that. He says, I'm new in Zbrush. Do you have any advice? Start with learning the fundamentals. Like the first couple of weeks or months even that you're going to be learning Zbrush, you're going to struggle with the interface. So the faster you can get used to the interface, the faster you're going to be growing as a Zbrush sculptor, as an artist. So focus on doing small exercise. I've talked about this before. Whenever you're learning a new software, whenever you're learning a new workflow or pipeline, try doing something simple. I'm going to give you a perfect example. Let's say you want to learn how to draw. You want to learn how to draw a character, right? Like you want to be a concept artist or an illustrator. You're not going to try to draw the full character at first. You maybe start by studying cylinders and cubes and triangles and things like that. And then you learn how to do an arm, and then you learn how to do the hand, and then you learn how to do the head. And eventually, once you have all of the pieces, then you can start being or building something that's a lot more interesting, right? Like a lot cooler. But you need to be patient in that process, because a very common mistake that people make is they want to jump straight into the cool stuff. And for one of your first projects, you want to do a dragon. It's like, no, man, like the chances of you being able to do a cool dragon when you're just starting your Zbrush journey are very, very slim, very, very low. So ideally, I would recommend you to not do that, to start with something that's a lot smaller, a lot more manageable, and then jump into something that's a little bit more interesting. Okay. Thank you, Mustafa, for the sub, my friend. Thank you. Colin says, also, hey, thanks for the last stream. It's motivated me a lot and understood the drawing workflow completely different. And take this with a grain of salt, Colin. Like I'm grateful and thankful that you found the what's the word? The stream useful, but I don't consider myself to be like a professional illustrator or designer. I do know a lot about design and a lot of the principles that we need to use, but in terms of execution, you can see how my sculpt is way better than my drawing that I did the other day. So if you want to learn how to draw, look up for people who are teaching that, people who know how to actually draw. So again, I'm not the best option out there for that. You want to learn Zbrush? Yeah, I think I'm a decent teacher for Zbrush. There we go. Let's clean that a little bit right there. Remember, we're adding damage, but we don't want to add damage everywhere. We gotta be like mindful. It's like the metal edgeware. We have metal edgeware everywhere, then sort of like defeats the purpose of the whole thing. Aaron says, Abe, how can we find the mistakes in our work? Like, I did a character 2 years back, it looked perfect then. Now that I look at it, it looks horrible. How would I know it's not happening to me again this time? Oh, that's an excellent question. And let's do that. Let me show you how I would do that. So someone mentioned Thyros the other day, right? This was a character that I did a couple of years ago for a previous tutorial place that I worked for. And I'm very proud of this character. Like, I'm really proud of this character. I'm really happy with the result. But I see mistakes. I definitely see mistakes that I would fix for this character. So let's go through them. Here's the thing about finding out stuff in your work and then improving upon that. You need to sort of like take your brain out of your head and move it to another side, right? And see this work as if it wasn't yours. So if this wasn't my work, what would I tell the student? And I've practiced this quite a bit thanks to portfolio reviews, right? So So if this was a portfolio review, someone delivered this to me, I'd be like, oh man, this is pretty cool, but here, let me tell you what I would change. First of all, on this like horse right here, the bandages seems like they're glued, like there's just a texture. I don't really see the volume changing, right? So you can see it here. The curvature of the horn is very, very uniform. So this looks more like a texture than an actual like mesh. I would definitely do this similar to what I did right here as a different piece. What do I see right here? I mean, I made that mistake. I always talk about this. Metal edgeware, right? Like I added too much metal edgeware to that thing and makes it look a little bit fakeish. So I would definitely fix the amount of metal edgeware that this thing has, because it's not normal to have that much amount of like metal edgeware. The face, I think I do like. I probably wouldn't change too much, but the beard, like the beard, I remember this was not something that I like really liked. I would definitely change it. Like it looks way too messy, way too disorganized, too much volume. For instance, here I would like trim it down on this area, right, to make it a little bit more natural flowing. So that's one of the things that I would do for the beard. On the skull, I like the skull. Like I think this is a nice skull, but I would just sharpen the edges a little bit more, similar to what we're doing right now. Bone tends to be quite pointy in some areas, so I would just like avoid having this super smooth elements and just like push it a little bit more in terms of the effect. Then we go to these bandages, same deal. Like I feel like they're maybe a little bit too thick. They look too thick, and the lines are not flowing in the right direction. They look a little bit like they don't look like they're really holding the character. So I would try to again maybe push the silhouette a little bit more here, like add a little bit more visual interest to the bandages and make them a little bit thinner. The fur, again, over here, I see that it was too uniform, right? Like the clumps are way too uniform. It kind of looks like they're artificial or fabricated. So I will definitely change that as well. Let's see. Same thing with the bandage on this one. I remember that there were some of them that I didn't really like, so I would change those. And yeah, that's the way I would again like criticize in this case my own work to make it work a little bit better. I think. In terms of anatomy, this muscle can be going a little bit higher, just a tad bit, not too much, to really give the strength on that particular element. I do like the textures. I think the textures are on a good position right now. Like I like the variation on the bump right there. I like the metals, the different types of leather. I was particularly proud about this like leather element on the skirt with this like burnt like effects. So yeah, the pants, I would definitely change the pants. Those need a little bit more work. That's how I would criticize my work. Like I take myself and I see this objectively and I ask, what do I need to change? The other thing that you can do is bring a work that's close to what you want to do and just put it side by side and be like, what did this artist do that was really good that I missed, and try to figure out how to get to that point. That would be one of the advices. And everything is perfectible. That's another very important thing. We need to learn to understand that sometimes good enough is good enough, right? A very common mistake that people make is that they keep working on a piece until it's perfect. Like they want it to be like completely perfect. It's like, no, dude, it's it. That's it. Like this was your limit right now. This is how far you could go with this piece. And if you just keep pushing it, you're not going to be learning. You need to figure out a moment or a position where you're like, damn, I would love to make it even better, but I don't have the tools right now. I'm missing the information, or I'm missing the practice, I'm missing the experience. And it's a moment to let it go. Just let it go. Stop that piece, submit whatever it is you have at that moment, and start a new one. Because you're going to learn way more by starting a new one or learning new skills than by remaining on the same like element. And I'm going to give you again another like perfect example with my own work. So this was a character that I did last year, and I spent a long time working on her. Like, I really wanted to make sure that she was, like, as nice and as clean as possible. But I knew that there was a point, and this is pretty much the end of it. I knew there was this point where it was like, hey, this is it. I know I can keep working on it, but I'm gonna learn more if I do a different character, a new character, than if I keep working on this one. So there's things that I would change. For instance, look at the traces right here. Very ugly. Like, there's pretty much nothing going on here. I definitely would need to clean that stuff up. I would like to do a different take on the BFX. I really like the face, though. Like, again, there's always going to be parts that you're happy with and parts that can definitely be improved. So, but I needed to call it a day. It's like, that's it. This was my limit here. I'll do a new piece. And that's what happened when we prepare, of course, the pirate course. This one right here. So this one, to me was a huge jump. And for those of you who have seen the course already, you know how cool the final result was for this whole thing. And I was very, very careful on making sure that I did not make the same mistakes that I had with the previous one. So I added like better transparencies for the cape, for instance. I added a nicer gradient across the whole thing, a more smooth effect. Like you're not gonna see really like any bad spots on this ones. A lot of material variation, right? We got leather, we got ropes, we got like this glowy bits, skin, a little bit of everything. Optimization was also way better for this one. So yeah. That's a great one, White Minus. Yes, remastering is a good option, and that's another great advice that I can give you. If you don't want to do a completely new portfolio piece, remastering an old piece is perfectly fine. So for instance, I have this girl right here. Her name was Abigail Goodwin. I did this 11 years ago for one of my Maya projects, and I recently found the file. I have the file right there, like on my hard drive or something. Instead of doing or remastering the one with the red hair, I could do this one and use the same techniques, just like fix this one, improve it, make it better, whatever. And that way, I'm gonna be able to see the comparison between those two pieces. I do like remastering some works every now and then, but sometimes it's way better. Or this one right here. This was one for this one was for one of the first projects that I worked on, an indie game that unfortunately never got released. And again, like I see like a lot of mistakes, some mistakes on the face in terms of proportions. The hair looks horrible, right? Like the cape, look at that, like wobbliness there on the cape. So there's a lot of things that now I can definitely improve. And I believe I still have the the files somewhere on my PC. So this is the kind of project that I would rework. Okay, it's part of the artistic growth and the artistic career, my friends. Okay, let's do topological here. Do you have any plans of teaching AI use for 3D artists? No, I don't think I would. Not at this point. If in the future it's like literally unavoidable and there are some important tools that are useful for the artistic like career, I might teach those tools. For instance, there's this tool, I have it. I haven't learned it as much as I would like to, but I have the software. It's called Cascadeur, I think. It's for animation, and it uses AI to help you with your in-between poses and like with gravity and things like that. And I've seen some like pro animators use it quite a bit. So that's the kind of stuff that, yeah, I would teach. If they release, I don't know, like a retopology tool that's going to be AI driven or AI influence, right? Like, yeah, sure. Like, I'm not against AI tools, but I do like the control that we have as artists when we're doing things more manually. Rolando Brando, thanks for the sub, my friend. Thank you very much. I see a lot of people asking over and over if the two bricks they move a lot good or not, the way to invest in one thing better. Yeah, just let it go. Like there's a lot of second guessing in our industry. We want things to be perfect, and that's good. Like that, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like being a perfectionist is a valuable skill, but there's a limit to that perfectionism, right? You also need to put into the balance how much time you have, how much money you're getting paid, right? How much value you're contributing to that specific change, and very importantly, is the audience going to notice it or not? Because if it's not going to be noticeable, then you might be wasting time on an area or on something, on a part of the asset that's not important, and you could be spending that time working on a part that is important. That's another very common thing. Like people sometimes choose heels to die on that are not the correct heel to die on, right? Like they start hyper focusing on certain parts of the character or the element, when in reality they should be focusing on a more important part. And then, yes, the part that they're focusing on becomes like, or it starts looking like perfect, but the other important part that people are going to be looking at the most sucks. How many, I mean, just think about this. How many games out there look beautiful, like they're amazing visually speaking, but the gameplay is not good, right? Like we have issues with the gameplay or optimization, right? Nowadays, there's been a heavy debated topic. Like the optimization of the games is really bad. Well, that's again because producers, unfortunately, directors or the big companies, the guys putting in the money, start focusing, in my opinion, on the bad things or on the wrong things. When you can have a game that looks gorgeous, but it's more simple and it's super fun. Like I haven't played this game, Peak, that I know a lot of streamers have been like playing or played a couple of months ago. I didn't play it, but I saw it. In terms of 3D, the 3D was very simple, but the gameplay was so much fun. At least watching it was really, really fun, right? So the same thing can be applied to pretty much anything. How many games out there have we seen that are very, very fun to play, and they don't necessarily have like the biggest graphics? Because in a game, the most important thing is fun. We go. Like I mentioned this before, I played Donkey Kong Bonanza with my kid this year. We had so much fun. Like 50, 60 hours of fun, both of us playing together. It was a very cool bonding experience. Now Donkey Kong is one of her favorite characters, along with Pauline, which is like the other protagonist on the game. And I mean, graphically speaking, it was not the most impressive like game out there, but in the gameplay, it was very, very fun. The story was like engaging. Again, it was not the deep story like Expedition 33 or anything, but that doesn't mean that you're not gonna have a good stuff. So that's why I'm telling you guys, we need to learn to have the focus in the proper place, and it's a skill, by the way. Like I'm not saying it's easy to figure that out. It's not. It's definitely a skill that we need to develop, of being able to tell, okay, this is important, and this is not as important. Does that make sense? I'm just ranting. Let's see. Can you tell us about the optimization of the props? I mean, like, how would I know that how many trees should be there for a specific piece? Okay. You guys were asking about, what's the word? About AI and stuff, right? So this is where AI helps. How many tries should my weapon have for a game like World of Warcraft? Right? World of Warcraft. And you're going to have Gemini over here. There you go. Between 1,000 and 15,000 triangles. There you go. That's your range. How complex the element is? Well, there you go. And if I change this for a game like Call of Duty, and you're going to say, hey, 25k triangles, 50k triangles. So just Google stuff like those kind of questions. Like it's not because I don't want to answer them. I'm of course answering them right here, but those are very technical questions that you're gonna get way more what's the word, way more interesting information if you look it up. If you can get access to the models, download the models. People rip the models out of the games, and you should be able to get access to some of them, bring them into Blender or into Maya, and check how many triangles does it have. Because it's not remember guys, topology, optimization, pixel density, edge flow, all of these things that we normally talk about, they are tools. That's the most important thing you need to remember. They are tools. So tools are there to help you. If you're fighting against the amount of triangles that you have because you don't know how many triangles you should have, then you are fighting against the tool. That means that you're not really using the tool properly, because you're fighting against it, trying to find like the perfect number. It's not a perfect number. How many triangles do you need? You need the perfect triangle. You need the exact amount of triangles that you might need for that weapon for that particular project. That's the answer. Some projects are gonna, like, you could have the exact same weapon, like this one right here. Right? If I tell you, hey, I'm about to finish this weapon, how many triangles should it have? It's not the same if this weapon's going to be in World of Warcraft, or it's not the same if this weapon's going to be on Darksiders, it's not the same if this weapon's going to be on Diablo, it's not the same if it's going to be on a cinematic, right? So all of those projects, same weapon, same high poly, completely different poly count. Completely different poly count, because each project will have its own needs. So your task or your mission as a 3D artist is to talk, of course, with your art director, talk with your client, talk with the studio, and be like, hey, how many triangles do we want for this one? Is there a particular number? How much of an optimization do we need? It's not the same to develop a game for a mobile device like a cell phone than it is to develop it for like PC, right? So yeah. Yeah, there was this guy. Did you guys ultra low poly Jinx? Where is it? Was it this one? There was a guy, this one. There was this guy that that did an exercise. There we go. So this person did an exercise to create Jinx in a like Nintendo 64 approach, and he got it to 256 triangles. 256 triangles, 255, and one single 256 by 256 diffuse map. And it looks great. It looks amazing. Look at the amount of triangles. Everything is pretty much like painted in. So this is like the most optimized version of hand painted you could ever see. As you can see, he has using a lot of techniques like mirroring the face, mirroring some of the arms and some elements. So yeah, 256. He of course needs to do like a high poly and then from there bake a lot of that information. But if you deliver this to League of Legends, of course they're gonna tell you like, no, dude, like this is way too low. Like we're not gonna use this. I mean, it's perfect. It's great that you were able to bring it all this way to this point, but it's not needed, right? So every single project again will be a little bit different, and it's part of our job to be able to adapt to that. I can share this with you. I recently finished a little bit of a freelance gig. And I was quite surprised by the amount of polygons that I was able to use. Like some of the assets, I think I delivered this like very big set piece for this project. As soon as I can get the okay to share it, I'll share it with you guys. But this whole set piece was like 7 million polygons, I think, or something like that. Yeah, like 7 million polygons in total. That was a lot. Like normally I don't work like the kind of like optimization that I do for VR stuff is way lower than that. So I was like, awesome, I can use all of this polys. Let's freaking go. Let me add as much detail and texture and everything as I can. But again, it really depends on the project. Okay, so here's another like interesting bit of information. I want to define planes. Remember that planes are one of the most important things in terms of visual communication. So for instance, if I want to add a little cut right here, I'm not just going to carve it in. I'm going to use, again, the OR flatten edge to really have one plane right here and another plane right here. See that? And then the outer plane as well. That's going to give me a way cleaner effect. And a way, especially when seen from afar, that's going to be very obvious what that is. Again, doesn't mean that we cannot have some like interesting cuts in other sections of the horns. For instance, here, we can definitely do that. But it's a good way to add that kind of stuff. Okay, I'm gonna increase the resolution here, Dynamesh again. So I want to have a little bit more. You can see like I'm already at like almost 3 million points, and still I might need a little bit more resolution. I'm gonna use a little bit of or rock detail to just give a bit of texture to the horns. And I had another brush pack. Let me see if I have it here. Because this is the new version, and I'm not sure if I transfer this. No, I don't think I did. Zbrush 2025.2. Zbrushes. Where are they? That's my scale brushes. Did I have them here? Zbrush. Zbrushes. Where are they? Pretty sure I had them. There are some I use them quite a bit. You guys probably have seen them before. It's the marble damage brushes. They're not here. Let me show you where you can get them. These are like great marble damage brushes. Zbrush. This one. This one? No, that's not it. Full damage. No, it's not the FN brushes. No other brush. I mean, you can buy the specs, but this one's. Are they this ones? Oh, it's this ones. It's this ones. There we go. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me just get them on my library real quick. 1 second, 1 second. It's this one's. Oh man, no. I mean, it's those ones, but he split them into marble damage. He split them into so many like different pieces. This one, there we go. There we go. So it's this one. It's by Simon Fuchs. It's Zbrush sculpting damage, alphas, and brushes, and he did this here on Mediafire. There we go. These are the ones that I'm looking for. Do we add micro details on Dynamesh or Subdeep? If you have the resolution on Dynamesh to add the details, you can add it on that one. I'm just gonna copy this, and I'm gonna paste them on my C startup software. Zbrush 2026. C brushes. There we go. Go back to Zbrush. Brushes, and there we go. Marble damage. There we go. So this is the one that I want. Concrete detail. It's a very simple one, but I like it because it adds you know, a little bit of like dots and a little damage, like a little bit of erosion to the whole thing. It's a great way to just break up the whole thing here. It seems like I'm not using symmetry, so let me just mirror this. There we go. Let's make sure symmetry is turned on. Yeah, these brushes are free. The ones that I just mentioned, it's this ones right here. So you can look Simon Fuchs, marble damage. He posted it, look at this, 10 years ago, May 24, 2015. I remember using them when I was at Noman. So they're really good. All of these brushes are really, really nice. And yeah, they're a little bit more realistic. Let's see, where can I find some brush packs? I just show you. There you go. I want to become a props artist and create original visuals, but every time I have a block, I can't imagine a concept that works. By the way, try to enrich my visual culture by looking at works on ArtStation, but even with that, I still struggle as much. I'm going to give you one of the best advices that I can give you, 23H, all it. You need to look at the real world. The real world is the best inspiration you can have. Go to a museum, go to national parks, go to nature, go to the library, go and explore the architecture in your city, go and explore the crafts of your city. Like, I remember, like, I'm not sure again if it's something that only happens to me, but whenever I visit someone, I'm always intrigued by the things that they have on their house, right? Like when you're in the living room or on the TV room or whatever, in your friend's house, he's gonna have some like knickknacks, maybe a toy, maybe an old wooden chair, maybe some hats. I don't know. There's so much story behind every single object that we as humans collect, right? If you go to someone's workshop or to someone's office, there's gonna be interesting things. That's why I love 3D, because as 3D artists, we need to take what's in the real world and we need to make it into the digital world, right? So yeah, you do need to touch a little bit of grass with the tiger, and you need to be amazed by those things. Like really go out there and see and ask questions. One of the best ways to learn and to meet people, by the way, is just ask questions. Most people, and most people are very happy to share and to like talk about their stuff. Like, who doesn't like being asked about what they do or what they're working on? It's a very human thing, right? So if you ever want to generate a nice connection with someone, one of the best things that you can do is to ask questions. Ask them, what do you do? What is this? Why is that the way it is? Like, explain it to me. I was doing some renovations here in the house a couple of months ago. As some of you guys might remember, there was a lot of noise. We even had to cancel some live streams because of the noise. And that's what I did. I went to the workers and I was helping them with like bringing the material and everything. And I would ask questions like, why do you do it this way? Or where did you learn how to do this? What do you need to wait this much time for this thing? And just asking questions, being curious. Again, not only do you build a nice relationship with people because they feel valued because you're asking for their opinions, you're also learning. As an artist, you're learning new stuff. You're learning things that they might or might not help you eventually in your artistic journey, because now we have more information. Now you have more experiences and more elements that you can use to influence all of the different things that you're going to be, in this case, building, right? So that's a very good technique. Yes, touching grass and just getting to see the world. And a very common like excuse that I get from some of my students is like, oh, but My city, I don't live in Europe where every corner is a freaking museum, right? There's a lot of magical places and a lot of very interesting things to learn about anywhere in the world. Like, you can be literally anywhere in the world and you're going to be able to learn something very, very cool. I'm going to give you another example. A couple of weeks ago, my brother, he got engaged. And he asked the family to... What's the word? To be there for the engagement. And he did the engagement on the beach. So we went on for a couple of days on a vacation, right? And we went there. When we were there, my wife found that there was a Churchill sanctuary very close to the hotel, hidden in like this sort of like undiscovered beach. And they had, of course, like a Facebook page and everything, and they were advertising that you could go there and help them release turtles to the wild as part of as an activity, right? To help them. And it was free, pretty much. Like, you just needed like a donation. You could make any donation, and you were welcome there. It was very cool. It was very, very nice. It was a nice experience. And the fun thing is, unless you are actually exploring and trying to find these opportunities, you wouldn't know about. And here's the thing. When I was there, the place where they had the eggs looked very cool. It was this little shack in the middle of the beach. A lot of like abandoned wood and you know, like palisades and things like that. It looked very, very cool. I immediately saw this like, oh, this will be a very cool environment. So maybe in the future, when I need to create some sort of environment that's going to be on the beach, I'm going to be grabbing some information from that memory that I have, and I'm going to use that to influence my work. But there's no way to grab that information if you don't have that experience. So being able to be a part of those experiences will influence and will change you as an artist. That's why, again, touching grass is important. Yes, Google Earth does count. Like, if you're exploring and just like looking at cool places and learning, yeah, that does count. But the actual experience of going out there, Barisoki, is definitely worth it. It's also very worth it for your mental health as well. As you guys know, as artists, every profession has its downsides, right? But we as artists, we suffer quite a bit as well from imposter syndrome, and we suffer from anxiety or demotivation, things like that. And it affects our art heavily. That's why mental health is so important for us artists. Don't sleep on that. Can we do a human anatomy of face in one stream? Yeah, we can do that later. We've done that before. I've done female characters, I've done male characters, monsters. You can look on the library. All of the live streams are there from years ago, so there has to be something there. Yeah, I'm using symmetry right now. Not on each specific horn, though. It's symmetry for both horns, right? So that's the other horn right there. Eventually, we're just going to do the retopo on one horn, of course. How do you improve? Should I watch a long course, for example, the bow female course you made, or do I just keep making sloppy bad sculpts over and over? No. That's a great question, Ian. It's a great question. So one of the big things about learning, guys, is you need to learn with a strategy in mind. Okay, you cannot just like hope for the best. That's a very, very bad way of trying to get better in this career. So what I recommend, if you're following a course, don't just watch the full course. That's why I make my lessons like 50-20 minutes long. You watch the video, you do the exercise. You watch the video, you do the exercise, and you keep moving forward with the videos, right? A good advice is, if you feel confident enough, when you're doing the course, you do a different project than the actual course. That's a good way to really put to the test all of the skills that you're going to be learning on that course, because you're not just following blindly what the teacher is doing. You're actually trying to apply that information into a unique, more original sculpt. It's not as easy. Some people like really struggle with that, and that's fine. But it's a good way to really improve, to try to apply that stuff into other things. Steve Cameron says, I love watching your live streams while working on sculpts of my own. Thank you, my friend. I'm glad I can keep you company there. See, that's one thing. I've mentioned this before. That's one thing I hate about home office. Like, I work here from my home. I don't have peers. I don't have a lot of human interaction, unfortunately. It's not the same as when you're in an office and you're, standing up and stretching, going to your your friend's computer and just like messing with them a little bit. Like that kind of interaction is also valuable. So I know everyone's like, oh, I would love to be home office. Like I've been doing home office for the past like 7 years, guys, and yes, it's fun, it's very comfortable, it has a lot of advantages, I'm not going to deny that, but it also has a little bit of a loneliness attached to it. So I'm glad that I can keep you company at least that way, my friend Steve. Yeah, we're gonna do the female anatomy course soon. I'm planning another course. I'm working on another course. It's gonna be hopefully soon as well. And then after that one, we'll do female anatomy. I promise. Do you have any tips for trying to learn anatomy for sculpting? Where to look, where to find good reference? Well, I mean, I have a course. I know that's not the message everyone likes to hear, but we have the anatomy for 3D artists course where we go over this character, Duncan. We even 3D print him. It's that like big statue that we have right there on the background. So yeah, that's the course that I made specifically for that question, my friend, because that's a question that I got often, which is, oh, how can I learn anatomy? And it's like, I'm gonna make just one course specifically focused on learning all of the theory behind anatomy as well as the actual practice, so that you can create your own, like in this case, superhero character. But yeah, there are also great books. You can check the Anatomy for Sculptors book. That's a great one. You can check what's the word? George Bridgman, Bern Hogarth. Those are great resources. The advantage of a course, of course, is the fact that everything's like condensed, and it tends to be a little bit easier to just like follow along. But as with everything, it really depends on the style of learning that you like. Some people really like following courses. Some people don't like them as much. Really depends. Here I'm just like making sure that the steps are like proper. Can you suggest how to approach modular assets? How much is it different from modeling hero assets? It's a little bit different, Sunable. It's a little bit different. Let me try to think about how best to explain it. Do you have an example of modular asset? I mean, the usual examples are like houses. How do I model a house modularly? Well, you just do one wall and then you repeat that wall. You do one door, you do one window. So the secret is to try to break down the element into the pieces that you know you can reuse. Right? So here, environment, concept art. So let's say we're doing an environment and we're doing something like this. It's a very cool environment. Very nice. If we take a close look at it, I need to think, okay, which of these assets are going to be modular assets and which of these assets are going to be hero assets, right? So for instance, the lions here, that's a hero asset. You're going to treat it pretty much as a normal asset. You're going to have its own texture map, it's everything. Yes, you're going to duplicate it later on, but it's just one asset that you treat like a normal hero asset. Same for the lamp. You do one lamp and then you just duplicate it everywhere. But if we go, for instance, to this thing right here, to this like little temple on the back, this is where it can really, like, you can really modularize things, because you start looking at them and you're like, hey, look at this. We got this beam right here, 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 here. It's the same beam everywhere. So let me make 3 of those versions, 3 of those yellow beams, so they have a little bit of variation. I'm gonna make maybe 1 or 2 of this like corner pieces. I'm gonna make same stuff, like 1 or 2 of this like L-shaped pieces, right? I'm gonna make maybe 5 or 6 of this like tiles on the top, and you start making pretty much like a little Lego, like a kit, right, of elements that you know are gonna be repeated. I do 1 dragon right there, 1 sphere, 1 of these things, and eventually you're gonna have your little kit of 20-30 objects that you can reuse and duplicate multiple times until you get the whole thing. You do the doors, of course, and with those pieces you can build the whole element, right? That's how you treat modular stuff like this one right here. Well, of course, there's going to be things that cannot be done that way. For instance, this lamp. It's a very cool lamp, right? Yes, you can maybe just do 1 dragon and then duplicate it to the other side. You maybe can do 1 of these faces and maybe 1 of the sections. So anytime you see something that's like very symmetrical, you just try to break it down into multiple pieces. That would actually be such a good... Yeah, it's not a bad project, to be honest. If you like stylized stuff, this looks very sort of like Overwatchy, right? Or Marvel Rivals style. So if you're going to be doing this sort of like stylized, hand-painted, you know, a little bit busy, sort of like realistic stuff, this is a great piece. If anyone wants to do this, this is by Ashley Brocklesby. Ashley Brocklesby. So you can see her whole process here, it seems. Oh, actually, is that 3D? Blocking out the environment. Oh, no, this was like a blog post. Did she finish it? Let's see. No, I don't want to see your blocks. I want to see your page. Yes, nice. He did. Nice, nice. Yeah, there you go. So it's already been done, which is something that you need to consider. But the concept was really nice. Can definitely add more pieces, I would say. It's not a bad project. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, it looks like a whip, but I don't know who the original artist is then. Alexander Shatokhin. Alexander Shatokhin. Alexander Shatokhin. There you go. Nice. Oh, it's got some cool stuff. I'm gonna follow him. So yeah, there you go. Look at this. Oh, love this characters. He went a lot more realistic this past couple of years. I'm not sure where the other one is. Must be some of this other elements. But yeah, like it's important to grab like a good project. Give me 1 second, guys, because freaking music stopped again. There we go. One second. There we go. Talking about your hand-painted courses, is there a difference between 3D code and Substance? Yes, there is a difference in terms of the feel. The workflow or the theory it's exactly the same. A lot of people have been using Substance for hand-painted stuff lately. I actually did for the shark demo that I showed a couple of weeks ago, or like last month or something. So it is possible to do everything inside the Substance Painter. Just keep in mind that the feel, I know it sounds very weird, but the feel, how the brushes feel, they do feel a little bit different inside of Substance than they do inside of 3D Code. I personally prefer the feel of 3D Code for the hand-painted section of the elements, but for a lot of the baking elements or the baking parts, I did use Substance. Abe, do I necessarily need to do sculpting with the style I want to achieve that I showed you on the Discord last week? From my knowledge, the person's styles that I want to achieve just does flow very poorly. Yeah, I mean, if that's a style that you really want to do, then yeah, you need to copy that particular style. That's part of like the studio work, my friend. Like when you're working on a studio, you're expected to match that studio's style. So if you want to work at Blizzard, if you want to work at Disney, if you want to work at CD Projekt Red, right? Like any of these big studios, your style needs to fit their style. Your work needs to fit their work. A good artist, a professional artist, should be able to adapt their style to whatever the client needs or whatever the studio needs. But there are certain styles that have a specific sort of like singularities, right? Or specific elements that if you don't know about, or if you don't have, can be a little bit tricky. What the hell? Oh my god. Why is this happening? Oh, there we go. Anupam Sigdal says, I've been sculpting Zbrush faces for about 2 months. Still can't seem to make it look like a reference. Should I switch to sculpting body and come back? Yeah, that's actually a very good approach. Sometimes dropping something and then going for something else, learning another skill will help you with the skill that you're struggling with. It's a very sort of like common situation, to be honest. So yeah, if you feel like you're really not moving forward, you already tried, then yeah, learning something else in the meantime, right, and then coming back to it, it's not a bad idea. Grubble Doom, thanks for the sub, my friend. I think I didn't shout you out there. John Jack says, 3D Code is way more fun for hand painting, and there are a lot of quality life features that are better in 3D Code. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just a color picker. And I actually told this to the Substance guys, because they asked me for some feedback about the software. And it's like, is there anything that you would like on the software? It's like, yes, please fix the color picker. Like, if you fix the color picker, you're gonna like have such a nicer like interaction, and it's gonna be a lot easier to do like this kind of like stuff, because it's different, and it's understandable, because 3D Code was built in a different way, and Substance is more like a 3D software. So it's important to have the, or that's why it can be a little bit tricky to implement that sort of stuff. But I really like the color picker in 3D Code. Hey man, what's up, my friend? Yeah, sculpting heads is tricky. Very, very tricky. And the reason it's tricky is because we have a higher level of perfectionism, let's say, for faces, because we see them all the time, right? So we know when a face looks wrong compared to any other element. Like, for instance, this bones right here. We probably have never seen a bone or a horn like the one that I'm sculpting right now. And therefore, if it's a little bit wrong, or if it has some issues or some mistakes, then we're not gonna have that. Cloud Guy, thank you, man, for the donation. Thank you, thank you. You don't have to, but thank you. I really appreciate it. If there's any message that you want to add, I'll be sure to read it. Nation on YouTube. It's a shame that I can't connect those warnings here to the stream. I'll have to do a little bit of research on that. See if we can do it for next time. But thank you, thank you. Thank you, Grumble. Yeah, see you back. See you back next Friday. Gradients. With gradient maps or with just like regular gradients? Because gradient maps, I haven't really tried them on 3D Code. But regular gradients, I find them quite nice inside of the software, to be honest. Go. Good evening, Herman. What's up, my friend? Welcome to the stream. Gradient fill. Abe, I don't really understand 3D Code licensing. I have the 3D Code program through the university for free, but I think it's only for Retopo and modeling. Is there a different... So there's two 3D codes. There's 3D Code Textura, and there's 3D Code, like the normal 3D Code. 3D Code Textura, it's only for texturing. And then 3D Code, the other one has all of the available elements. I'm not sure. I don't remember seeing a specific one that only has that thing that you mentioned, Retopo and modeling. I will need to check, but they have a couple of options, and I find that to be quite nice. One of them is the rent to own. So you pay every month, and at the end of your period, after you finish paying all of the monthly payments, you get the license, right? Like, you own the license, and you get like 1 year of maintenance. And then later on, if you want to get like a new update, you just pay a smaller portion, which I think is really, really good. You can also subscribe, of course. But I like the pay to own model. There you go. I think that's it. I think this one became a little bit too big though. Nice. Yeah, I think we're done there with the horns. Especially at the scale that we're going to be working with, I don't think we're going to see any more detail. So I feel like the horns are there, are done there. Now let's just focus a little bit on this bone right here. And it's mainly small details that I want to add. So usually bones will have a couple of little elements or areas where, like, nerves or vessels, blood vessels, will go through. Link the name, Colin, because we cannot link links on the chat. But share the name here on the chat, and I can take a look at it. It's a little bit of like a bone border right here. Just a little bit of noise to great put. That's what. How do you come up with like weapon design on the fly? Do you have a clear idea in your head? Did you not see the last the last live stream, my friend? So last week, and this was thanks to Colin here. Last week we had the whole process. Where is it? There we go. So this was a weapon design that Colin did last, or he showed me on the Discord a couple of weeks ago. And then what we did is we went through like the whole sort of like design principles. We created like the abstracted shapes. Then we started generating all of the different elements. And once we had a good idea of how we wanted this whole thing to be, we just went ahead and started sculpting. There were a couple of changes at the end, like some of the directions of the skull and things like that. But in general, we kept pretty close to the original idea. So on that video or on that stream, which is available by the way on the here on the YouTube channel, you can check it. We go over that whole thing. So yeah, just check it out. It was last week where we did the design of this weapon. So yeah, we did come up with it on the fly pretty much. We went through the whole like design process. And I explained the reasoning behind some of the decisions that we were making, and that lead us to this particular weapon right here. Am I obligated to learn software substance designer as an environment artist? As an environment artist, yes. I think knowing substance designer is important, to be honest. I don't really know it, to be honest. Like, I know the very basics of it. So I'm not going to be able to help you much on that, like a journey in particular. But I would say that yes, substance designer for an environment artist is important. Because they use it for some like interesting tileable textures and elements every now and then. There we go. So as you can see, I'm just adding a little bit of texture to this like bandages right here. Not too much. Gonna add some like little noise here on the bone as well. And I think we're pretty much done. And the skull definitely needs a little bit of noise. Just a couple of like nicks here and there. And push this angles a little bit deeper. This is the area where we can exaggerate on some of these things because we're going to be baking most of this stuff down. And then on the... I think I'm going to do this with hand painted, like a hand painted approach. So on the hand painted approach, we can go a little bit crazier. But if we already have the information baked in, that makes it a lot easier for us later on. Oh, there you go. Kidney is mine. Thank you, man, for the donation. Kidney is mine. It's a fun name as well. Thank you, Liz3D. Yeah, it's I'm liking it. I'm really liking it so far. I do feel like the sword here is missing something. I'm not exactly sure what. I'm not exactly sure what. Maybe a little bit of texture, like rock detail. Like just a tad bit. I mean, that's something that we can always add in color. Or in the texturing department, but... Mateo Vasquez, elegantoso. ¿Qué cosa, mi estimado? ¿Qué cosa es elegantosa? What are the end of year goals for the channel, Abe? Oh, that's a great question. So, one more course. I want to release one more course before the year ends. That's definitely going to be an important one. Hopefully, we can get to... I think we're close to 60,000 subs on the channel. 60,000 subs would be pretty cool. What else? No, that's pretty much it. I don't know. How many subs do we have? People who are on YouTube, can you just confirm? I don't remember how many we have. But ideally, if we can get to 60k, that'll be pretty cool. Yeah, definitely we need something here, right? Some sort of like runes or something on the main blade. Okay. ¿Crees que hay mercado por los artistas en LATAM? Pues yo soy un artista en LATAM y no me va mal. De que hay trabajo, brother. Pero tenemos que tener un buen nivel para poder expresar ese trabajo, porque la gente espera una calidad muy alta. 3D Art Papi says, hola compadre, ¿cómo estás? La primera vez mirando tu stream, pero siempre veo tus Instagram stories. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. You are welcome, my friend. You are welcome. Oh, 58.3. No, then we can maybe get to like 62 or something like that. But yeah, 60 is definitely one of the first goals. Like, I know that the YouTube plaque, the little 100k sub plaque is not... Like, they don't give you money or anything, but it would be very cool to have it, right? Like, I think I would place it, like, right here or something. Is it better to learn designer or painter? I think both are great, especially, again, if you want to be, like, an environment artist, you definitely are going to need both eventually. But painter, I would give priority to two. So you learn painter first, and then you learn designer. I mean, if you can learn both at the same time, that's even better. How did you add video template before you complete this sculpt? Video template? What do you mean? How did you add video template before you complete this sculpt? I don't understand that question. El Dulk. Can't find it. L_Dulk. Is it this one? Okay. I'm gonna be completely honest here, and I don't want you guys to take this the wrong way. And please, my friend Elmick, I also don't want to take this the wrong way. It is a cool idea. It is a cool hammer. I understand what you mean, Colin. However, I think our friend Elmick here is, and he mentions that he's just a hobbyist right now. I'm not sure if he's on the early stages of his design career as well, because some of these designs do look a little bit, again, and I'm not saying this in a what's the word? I'm not trying to bash him or criticize him, but they do look like they're on the early stages of his journey as a weapon artist, right? So if we look for some weapon designs, you're gonna see that the level that is expected from artists in terms of like the ideas and the originality of things. Look at this, right? Like these designs from, in this case, Julio Nicoletti, look to me way more refined and way more interesting than the ones that we just saw with our other friend. Okay, again, not saying that those designs are bad. It's just saying that, especially for the type of like the type of style that people are looking for right now, there is a level of complexity and a level of design decisions that you need to have in order to be able to create that. Look at this, guys, right here. Oh, these are so cool, man. Enemies of the Dread Tunnels. Oh, that's so cool. They look like Hades style. So nice. Gonna follow this guy as well. Julio Nicoletti from Canada. There's some great concepts here. So can you take the game he works for is on Roblox, so his sensor very limited to have. No, but that's the thing. That's the thing, Colin. That's a very common like pitfall in terms of design. The fact that we're working with limited elements doesn't mean that we need to work with limited designs. So I could make any of these weapons right here by Julio with 500 triangles. Just 500 triangles. Give me 500 triangles and just one texture map, and I can make any of these ones. Yes, it's gonna have a lower silhouette, and there's gonna be compromises that we need to do in terms of quality. But the fact that we're working with limited resources doesn't mean that the designs need to also be, again, limited by those. Does that make sense? So you can always have room for exploration, and this is something that you're going to develop. I didn't ask you this before, Colin, but I'm imagining that you're a little bit younger. Probably you're under 20 or something like that. Not sure, might be the case. The more you grow as an artist, the more your artistic sensibility is also going to be developed, and you're going to be able to tell which is a good design and which is a bad design, and why certain designs work a little bit better than others. Okay, when we're younger and when we're still learning like the basics of 3D and art in general, we tend to be impressed by a lot of things. We tend to see a lot of things and be like, oh, this is cool. It has a lot of chains and spikes and fire, and it's like, oh, that's amazing. When sometimes less is more. And again, this is some sort of like sensibility that you develop with time and with age. Okay. Sex says, do you suggest Topogun for retopology or Blender's RetopoFlow add-on? Both of them are excellent. I use Topogun for my stuff. So for instance, for this one right here, I'm definitely going to be using Topogun. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some smaller breaks. Just sharpen some of these things a little bit more. So I'm a little bit worried about this like connection right there, because there's no connection pretty much. But I'm going to have to trust the fact that it's not a very visible part, so it's probably going to be in shadows and stuff like that. But I do think it might be a good idea to add a little bit of similar to what we have with the skull, like a little bit of a cut on this backbone part right here. Do you have any idea how we would model the skull on that ice hammer? It's just ingrained on the element. So you have this like cube, and you just like merge the skull. So you need to. I would model the skull separately, and then the hammer body separately, and then I would merge them. That's how I would like approach that particular piece. I was curious to ask. I've been dabbling with 3D and game design for some time now, but I have never felt confident enough to teach anything. How did you know when you started to start teaching? It's a great question, man. That's a great freaking question. So teaching is a different skill, first of all, and that's something that has taken me quite a bit of time to understand, right? Like, it's not the same to be a good artist than to be a good teacher. I think I'm a better teacher than I'm an artist. I'm not saying I'm a bad artist. I consider myself to be a very proficient artist, but I do know, and people have confirmed this to me, that I'm a really good teacher, or I'm a very good teacher. So I'm happy because of that, and I've trained and I've learned and I've researched to be a good teacher as well. Like I've researched ways to teach, ways to convey information, that kind of stuff. So the way, or one of the reasons why I started teaching was because I had a certain amount of knowledge that the original first group that I taught did not have, right? So once you understand that, or once you feel like you have some knowledge that you can transfer to someone else, or that you can teach to someone else, that's a good sign that you can sort of like start teaching, right? Of course, the more experience you have, the more times you've worked on this kind of stuff, the more examples you have on your portfolio, the better it is. But as long as you have something that you can teach me, well, that's it. The problem is, if there's very little things that you can teach, then the amount of time that you're going to be able to have a student is going to be a small time, right? Like, you're going to teach them that, and at that point, the student's going to have the exact same knowledge as you do, and you're no longer going to be a good teacher for them. So that's why my personal motto is always learning, always improving, because I need to be learning and constantly improving my skills so that I can keep teaching all of these things that I'm learning, right? Now, I didn't know I was going to be a teacher. I was offered an opportunity. And I'm not sure if I've shared this story before, but here it goes. This was back in 2014, January 2014, if I'm not mistaken. So, is it 2014 or 15? No, 2014. So January 2014, I was going back to Los Angeles to continue my studies at Neumann. And I made a mistake, a very stupid mistake, which was that I thought I had the right visa to go and continue my studies, because I've been studying for 1 year at that point, and I thought that with the visa that I had at that point, I was fine, which was the normal tourist visa. Because with the normal tourist visa, you can go to the US and study for up to like 20 hours per semester or something, or per week or something like that. So the point is that the program that I was attending was within those margins, and I was able to attend the classes and learn all of the first year that no one had at that point. But the problem was, by the second year, I got accepted into the program. And at that point, I was no longer just a tourist, I was a student, and I had to have my student visa. And I didn't, because I thought that the other visa was enough. Again, stupid mistake. That was completely on my part, completely on my on my side, right? So I get to LA, I get to the border customs, and they're like, "Where are you going?" Oh, and very confidently I say, "I'm going to study," right? And when he heard my story, I was like, "You're going to study?" "Yeah." "Well, where's your student visa?" I was like, "Oh, no, I'm using this visa to study because of this program." It's like, no. Now that you're a student, you need to have your student visa. I was like, "Oh, but I've been doing this for the full year with the other visa, and it was fine." It's like, "Yes, because you were not a student." It was legal stuff at that point. But the point is, they offered me two options. It's like, "Okay, you're in big issues." They told me, this is not a good situation for you. So you have two options right now. You can try and appeal this decision. We're gonna have a little trial here, and if you are successful in appealing for your case, you can enter the US, and once you're inside of the US, you can do the change on your visa. You can change from your visa to a student visa and continue with your studies normally. But if you fail that trial, like if you're found guilty or whatever, you are not going to be allowed into the US for the next like 5 or 10 years. And I was like, okay, what's option number two? It's like, option number two is you do this thing called voluntarily withdrawal or something like that. You get put on a plane, you go back to Mexico tomorrow, you go and get your visa because you have all of your papers in order, so you're not being punished or anything, you're just asking to leave pretty much. And you come back when you have your visa ready. It's like, okay, let's do that option, right? Let's go for option number two. I'm not gonna risk it. And I did. I came back to Mexico. I went to get my visa. They were very, very cool about it. They were like, yeah, sure. This was just like a stupid mistake. Don't worry. Here's your student visa. Now you're free to go. But the problem was that like student visa process took like 2 or 3 weeks for it to get resolved. And I already missed the first 2 or 3 weeks of the school. And I talked to my advisors at the school, and they were like, well, you have two options. You can come back right now and just like keep going with the term. You're gonna have to do extra work, of course, to get in line with everyone else, or we can just like skip this term and you restart next term, right? Like, so you missed the that was called the winter term, and you start on the spring term. And I was like, yeah, you know what, like this is very expensive and I don't want to lose any information, so I'll just start on the next term. So I missed that first term. Now, that's the whole sort of like build up to the situation that I'm going to explain about being a teacher. When that happened, I was like, okay, I got what's the word? 3 months, pretty much, like 10 weeks or 12 weeks free. What do I do? Because I don't want to just like be waiting on my house for the next stage. I didn't have my computer because my computer was back in the US with my family that I was staying with. So it was difficult to work with. And I reached out to one of my previous schools here in Mexico. It's like, hey, do you guys have any work? I would love to work as part of the studio if possible, just for a couple of months. And they were like, no, we don't have any work, but we do have a Zbrush class that we need a teacher for. Do you want to teach it? And that was it. That was the beginning of my career, because when I went to that school, which was in a city close to my hometown, I met 2 students there. And I'm always going to be like very, very thankful for them, because they being there like changed my whole life pretty much. I was living with my parents at that time, kind of evident. Yeah, I was 20 years old at that time. So when I went to that class to teach that Zbrush class, I had 2 students. One of them his name is Gibran, and the other one is Sergio. They were both from my hometown. So when I meet them and I ask everyone, hey, where are you guys from? What are you guys learning? What do you guys want to learn? They told me, oh, we're from Saltillo, which is my hometown, which is where I currently live. And it's like, oh, we're from Saltillo. It's like, wait, what? You're traveling all the way here to Monterrey, which is the city nearby, to learn this thing. Why didn't you learn this thing in Saltillo? And they're like, oh, because no one is teaching that in Saltillo. And it's like, oh, that's an interesting business opportunity. So that got my light bulb going. It's like, well, if no one's teaching 3D in my hometown, what's stopping me from being the first one to do it? And that's what I did. Like I had that sort of like, again, like option or opportunity as a little entrepreneur, like a little business opportunity of being, well, no one's teaching this. I can teach the basics. I can teach basic Maya. I can teach basic Zbrush, because at that point I've been doing 3D for like 3 years. So it's like, well, let's start and see where it goes. And I did. I started, like, I created a little Facebook page. It's still out there, by the way. It's very old. I created a little Facebook page. I created a little small academy. I bought what's the word? I bought computers. I asked for a credit, and I bought like 5 or 6 computers. I built my own studio, my own little studio. It was literally a room, like a 3 or 4 by 4 room with 5 computers. We were all in the same space, pretty much like crumbled together. And that's how I started teaching. And yes, I made a lot of mistakes. Sometimes I taught things that I shouldn't have taught at that point. Like, it was a mistake to try to teach, for instance, I remember back then I tried to teach like animation, and I was not an animator. And I realized, no, you know what, like, I feel like I'm scamming my students, because even though I'm teaching them some very basic stuff, I'm sure they're hoping for something better. So that's how you learn. That's how you improve. And yes, you're gonna maybe burn some breaches here and there. Some people might criticize you for what you're doing, but that's how you start. That's how opportunities happen in life. You're gonna be in a situation where you're gonna have a choice, and you need to be ready to make that choice. Tadeo here, he says, actually, when I saw the first advertisement of Critical, I thought the academy was in Monterrey. Tadeo was my second group. So I did my first class, my first Maya class with Critical Hit Academy. That was the name of the academy back then. And Tadeo was on the second group. Like, the second time I started the group, he was there, and he's now a very successful artist. So yeah, that's how you grow. That's how you improve, and that's how you become a better artist. Kidney, thank you, my friend, for the donation. I really appreciate it, but I'm not looking at ArtStation profiles right now, okay? We do that during portfolio review, but you're free to go into the Discord channel and apply for the next portfolio review. We're gonna be opening the submissions at the end of the month, so be on the lookout for that. Okay? Portfolio reviews are done every day at the end of the month. Yes, there's very few schools that do or teach to the end, and there's a very unfortunate situation with that. 3D moves so fast that you cannot keep up with the regulations that the university requires. So one of the early or the first universities that I taught of I remember they tell me, I need you to create a study plan, and I told them, sure, I can show you and share with you a study plan, but if this changes, I need to update the next year. It's like, no, we cannot update the study plan. We can only update them like every 2 or 3 years. Like, no, that's not how it works. So a lot of the studios or a lot of the schools will have a specific study plan, and it's not going to match what you're actually going to be taught, because they need to comply with the regulations of the educational systems on whatever country it is. And then the teachers get to like change or modify some of those elements to whatever it is that they might need. Hopefully that makes sense. What software do you use to show thumbnails for OVJ in Windows? It's Chillhop. I don't like it, to be honest. I don't like the thumbnails to be there, but it's Chillhop, which is a software that they use for 3D printing. Oh, now my throat is getting really sore. Been talking a lot this this stream. Isaac Fraser says, I'm still new to 3D around a year, and I don't know what direction to take. I would recommend starting with weapons, like really mastering the weapon pipeline first, and then jumping to characters, because characters are definitely a little bit more complicated. So if you already have all of the technical knowledge from the weapon situation, then it's gonna be a lot easier to jump into characters. I'm not sure if you've checked the weapon course that I have for the lava axe. That's a great starting point, I think, because I cover the whole process. Now, we need to do some runes here. And I'm not sure if you remember that, unfortunately, last week, one of our family cats, well, not mine, but my parents' family cats passed away. And we're doing the weapon on his honor. So let's look for the word cat in Latin. That's a very common thing. So, Felis. Okay, Felis is not bad. Catus. Ooh, I like that word, catus. So, catus, I like catus. Now, we need to look for some runes. So, runes alphabet. And what we can do is we can transfer that word, catus, into an interesting alphabet here. Now, I don't really want to do Nordic. That feels a little bit weird. So, let's do fantasy. There you go, something like this. On my spell scroll pictures, yeah, like something a little bit more magical. Seems fun. This one is like, it feels like a little bit more World of Warcraft-ish. Elder Scrolls. This is Elder Scrolls. There we go. Can you share your Zbrush interface? Yeah, the Zbrush interface is on the Discord channel. Here, give me 1 second. Just bring in the specific link. So if you go to the Discord channel and you go to official links, and then you go to resources, there's this Google Drive folder. And here, that's the interface, a Leal 3D interface. It's not updated. It's missing a couple of tools, but you can just add them. It's the blue interface with the basic stuff that I have. And there's more stuff in here that you can also download for free. Yeah, Hell runes, I think, are what we're going to be going for. But I don't want to use those, like Elder Scrolls ones. They're very obvious. I want to use something, you know, a little bit more unique. There were some from Avernus. Avernus is the D&D Hell, and they did some runes for that one a while ago. Oh, I like this one. That's interesting. Oh, these are not bad either. I don't want them to be super complicated though, because if they're too complicated, they become difficult to sculpt, right? So we need to keep them relatively simple, readable, especially readable from afar. No, not Mayan, not Mayan. Mayans don't have runes. They have something called codex, which are like hieroglyphs, and they use this like square-ish like shapes like this. They're very cool, but I don't think they fit the current designs that we're going for. These are a little bit interesting. Yeah, I like this, like a little bit sharper. Okay, so let's use that sort of like idea. Let's go over here. This is where we can use layers, by the way. Layers are a cool tool that we have here inside of Zbrush when we're not like super sure about specific things. I'm gonna create a new layer. It's recording now, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mask. I'm gonna start by masking. So I'm gonna do like an interesting rune right here. Again, following some of the design principles that we've been applying to the weapon. So we're going for this like sharp turns and clean curves. What's my thought process? I'm just trying to find something that fits the language, right? So we want sharp, accelerated curves. We don't want like any other thing. So I'm trying to use the word, the catus word that we found, and I'm trying to sort of like incorporate a little bit of that. So this is like the C, this is like the A, and then we're gonna have like the T. Right? It's like an abstraction of what we're doing in a way that we can incorporate a little bit of that, again, like that design without or by following that like principle, right? And important it's that it fits with the element here. I think I'm gonna add like a little like A right there, A shape. That's cat. We need another T. Gonna play with the forms there. I don't want it to look too busy though. Go. And we need the U. And then we're gonna need the S, right? So people who see this might not be able to tell the word that we're trying to what's the word to tell what's going on here on the actual runes, but we will, right? So it's like our little secret here, and as long as it flows and it feels like it's part of the same thing, it's gonna be fine. Let's say, is it okay to pirate Zbrush if you can't afford it? It's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay to pirate stuff, because at the end of the day, yes, you can be angry with any corporation about the way they handle their customers. I understand. But it's not okay, because at the end of the day, it's a tool. And if that tool is allowing you to make a living, right? Well, you need to pay for that tool. There are other options. And this is the thing, right? Like, the reason why I don't think pirating is okay is because there's always an alternative, but you still want to use Zbrush, right? You can use Blender for sculpting, and it's really good. You can buy, for instance, Nomad Sculpt, and it's also really good. You can buy 3D Code, and it's going to be a lot cheaper than Zbrush, and it's really good. So there are alternatives, but if you still want to use Zbrush, then, well, you do need to pay. Do I agree with the prices? Not always, but I do think that if you're a professional artist and you can justify the price and make a living out of it, then you should pay for your license, right? Now, as a student, I understand as a student it can be difficult to afford to pay for software, especially when it is like very expensive. There are options. Maxon offers a student version. If you can get access to one of those, that's a good compromise. What the hell happened there, man? What the hell is that? Oh man. Okay, so I'm gonna do something here because I don't want to redraw all of this, guys. So I'm gonna just snip them. Let's go all the way back until we fix whatever happened there. All the way back. There we go. So it was a layer. Interesting. Oh, interesting. Why? Is it because of Dynamesh? Oh, wait a second. Oh, this is a big issue. Big issue. Okay, so what's happening here? For some reason, I forgot, and we had this hidden piece right here that I moved, I don't know when. So the problem is that we don't need that piece anymore. I don't think it fits with the design anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Control W to polygroup this whole thing right there. And if we get out, you're going to see that's a different polygroup. So the only thing we need to do is delete hidden. Go back here and Dynamesh again, and it should close the hole. There you go. So that's a way to to avoid that. But the problem is we need to do the elements again. Should I show you another tool here? How are we doing on time? So we're gonna be finishing. We're gonna be finishing the stream not too long from, or relatively soon, because I have a pending stuff that I need to finish. Actually, have any important messages? Seems to me that we're fine so far. Let's see. What was he gonna say? Oh yeah, the element. Okay, so we're gonna go to Photoshop. I'm just gonna do this simply. So I'm just gonna go create a new file. Let's do this like at 2K or something. Can even be 1K. That's fine. Control B, and I'm just gonna get this in here. There we go. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select the mask. So I'm gonna go to my Magic Wand tool. Select, and select. Create a new layer. I'm gonna fill that layer with white, and then invert the selection and fill everything with black. There we go. So you guys see what I just did right here, correct? Like I'm creating an alpha. So this is the alpha that I'm gonna be using. So I'm just gonna save this as an alpha. JPEG is fine for now. Let's have it on the desktop. All this runes. Go back here. Now we can create a layer. I'm going to use my standard brush, drag rect, and I'm going to bring in my alpha here. There we go. Now, as you can see, we can either just like drag and drop them as if they were like where we need them, which I think that's what I'm going to do. Make sure that focal shift is set all the way to 100, so they're like perfectly sharp. And now we just need to find like the center point right there, which would be like right around there. But lower. This is where Substance has a really cool tool. Some of these details we can definitely do inside of Substance. There we go. Ah, We're gonna set this to CF instead. Or C-sub, sorry. What the hell? Why is it not working the way I want? Why am I missing it? So yeah, I realized. Let's just do the masking instead. So I'm just gonna mask, and we're gonna mask with the runes. So it's the same thing. Again, focal shift on the mask all the way down, and we're just gonna pretty much bring our mask. Yeah, right around there. Yeah, feels about right. And the cool thing is here, I mean, we could just change this back to alpha, and if we need to fix or clean any of this elements, this is the moment to do it. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna separate these guys a little bit more so that the tangents and everything are not like super close together. And I just feel like we're missing something here, so I'm gonna add another little like curve here. I know that's no longer part of our like worth, but I do feel like we're missing something there on the blade. There we go. Both sides, awesome. Invert this, and we're gonna go to deformation, and we're gonna do a little bit of inflate down to really clean that up. There we go. Oh, that's way too much. That's way too much. We can do inflate down just a little bit. There we go. And now that we have this, I'm going to use my ore flatten again to clean this up. Right? Very important to clean this up because it's looking a little bit too pixelated. And as you can see, this ore flatten brush is really good. It's going to clean it, and it's going to try to keep the detail of the damage nice. Is there a way to drag the mask? There is one. There's the instead of drag rec, drag point, I think it's called. That one could also work. Go again with the music, man. I miss my old League of Legends tunes. We didn't have this issue with those. Start getting some copyright warnings, and don't want that. Imagine we had to start the channel over. No. It's been such hard work getting this thing to where we're at right now. Starting over would be difficult. Let's see. Hi everyone. I also deleted the Rihanna head right now, so I'm starting over with making her and looking at reference and following trolls by Nico. Speed character. Yeah, speed character, he's a really talented guy as well. He's done some really and he uses Blender. We were talking about that, right? So there's no excuse. When creating a character for a studio, do they demand that you create character from scratch, or is it okay? No, it's perfectly okay to use base meshes. Base meshes are fine, guys. Again, they're just tools. But you need to understand, anytime you use a tool and you're not doing the actual work, it's like you're missing that muscle. You're not exercising that muscle that you might need as an artist. So if you ever come into a situation where you need to do a character and you don't have a base mesh, you should have the necessary skill to do it, right? That's the danger of base meshes, shortcuts, tools, alphas, trim sheets. Like anytime you're using something that you just bought, it's fine. But if you ever are in a situation where you need to do it yourself because there's no like element to buy, well, you need to solve it, right? Yeah, if you wanna be better, if you wanna study your anatomy, then yes, definitely do it from scratch. Like the first couple of characters and most of the courses, when I'm doing the courses, we don't use base meshes. I think for the pirate one, we did solid mango. Can you, because I know you're working on it right now, we use a mannequin, right, for the pirate, I think? Like just a mannequin for the basic proportions. But then we pretty much like did all of the muscles and the elements by hand. There we go. So I like this. The only thing I don't like is now that this damage looks a little bit too much. We're just gonna rebuild that damage. so that we have a little bit more space to see the runes right there. Yeah, I like them. What do you guys think? Do you guys like it? I think Speedcare Nico switched to Blender because Zbrush got pretty pricey. Yeah, it is pricey. It is pricey. Like, I pay like $50 every month for the license, which is not cheap, right? Like, that's a full game that I could be buying instead. I do own my license from before it got acquired by Maxon, so my 2022 version. If I ever am in a position where I cannot pay the monthly subscription, I'll just use Zbrush 2022. It still has most of the main tools that you're gonna need, so that's perfectly fine. But yeah, I understand the problem with that. Awesome. So let's just finish with a nice render, I think, for this one, because this is pretty much the end for this high poly. I don't think I really need or want to add anything else. Because I think we're in a really good position in terms of like level of detail, forms, silhouette, right? And the next stage is going to be, of course, retopo and texturing. I'm not sure if we're going to be, because I want to use this for a little secret project later on. So we'll come back to this one, but this is going to be the final week for this one for now. But we'll see this year, by the way. It's not going to be too long, but there we go. Yeah, I like it. I really like it. I think we're in a really nice position here. So let's do a quick comparison between today and last week. So let's go here. There we go. So this was the result that we had last week. And this is the result that we have now. So as you can see, this is the interesting thing about our workflows, right? As a simple view, you're not gonna be seeing that much difference. Like like 70% of the stuff is the same from the one from last week to this week, but it's the little details, it's the little changes in forms, it's a little polish. Those are the things that really sort of like make this thing go to the next level. It's a complicated process, but it's those little things that take a long time, right? Because it took us the same amount of time to get to this position, or actually less. It took us like 1 hour to get to this position, and I've spent like 4 or 5 hours on polishing this thing right here. And it might seem like it's much, but it's a lot of work, right? How do you do and remove the copy? Sometimes I create them. Just Control N. Control N is going to clean the canvas. It's a very basic shortcut here in ZBrush. Control N to clean it. The model turned out a lot better than the concept. That would be really... yeah, I think I'm going to 3D print it. I just need to order a couple of spools because it's going to be like a big dagger, probably. But yeah, I like it. So, are you ever going to make small tutorials on how to deal with some specific stuff? Example, how to make this shape, how to open... I've done that. Dude! I feel insulted by that question, my friend. I actually feel a little bit insulted by that question. Do you not know I have a channel on YouTube with 587 videos of doing exactly what you're mentioning? This week we talked about UVs. Last week we did hair setup, Fiverr Shop haircuts, Unreal Engine, sculpting like a thing. We did hand painted on gold. We did substance generators. We got Marvelous Designer, a Jedi robe, sculpting rocks, another UV element, another hand painted stuff. We did fixing topology. We did the Marmoset bakes. Like, dude. Short form content, dude. I got like 200 different shorts or more on all of these different things as well. There you go, man. All of this. Look at that. We do like 5 shorts per week or 6 shorts per week every single week for the past 2 years. So yes, I do have a lot of content, my friend. A lot of content. Some people are sick of my face now. We get some mean comments every now and then of, oh, I hate this guy. It's like, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna keep doing it because I love doing this. But yeah, I have a lot of information, man. A lot. Just go to YouTube and you're gonna have enough information to last you for several months if you wanna go through all of the different things that we've done. I'm just teasing you, by the way. I'm not mad or anything. So let's see. Chesetta says, I'm glad I found your channel. Been improving a lot. Thank you, my friend. I'm glad you have. So I want to do something fun. What if we take this into Unreal and just do a quick check on how this would look with the character moving, right? I know this is not optimized or anything, but we can already do that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do subtool, merge visible, and it's going to merge everything into a single mesh right there. And we do need to, I mean, we can take it with nanite, to be honest. Let's do nanite. Fuck it. Let's destroy my computer now. Dagger, high poly. 6 million polygons. I don't care. I bought a powerful computer. I want to use it. Let's export this. So we're going to export 6 million polygons, which is going to be like, well, 6 million points, which is going to be like 12 million polygons. Again, I don't care today. Today, we're going to break this thing. Celestiali, someone asked me this question yesterday. Is like, how do you remember all of these tools and all of these menus? I'm going to be honest. Sometimes I need to look up. For instance, I forget about how to bake displacement maps from Zbrush. Like, I forgot the specific elements. And I look, displacement map from Zbrush. And then I get my video from like 2 or 3 years ago. It's like, oh, thank you, Abe from the past, for helping Abe from the future. So the more you use a tool, the more you're going to remember it. But it's very, very common that you're going to forget it. Again, ChatGPT, just looking for a video again, having your library of saved videos, your like playlist of all of this little tricks I use every now and then. Yeah, don't worry, Mango. I'm gonna save. Let's save this real quick here. There we go. So this is a question I get asked often. Is like, how many polygons can you use for like a render or things like that? It doesn't really matter. Like right now, for instance, Marmoset. If I want to do a render here instead of Marmoset, I'm pretty sure I can just take this like 6 million polygon mesh. And Marmoset, especially the new version, Marmoset 5, is quite like nicely prepared to handle it. Look at this. Right? Like we have 6 million polygons right here. Or more. How many do we have? 12 million triangles. 12 million triangles here inside the Marmoset. This is our high poly, like every single polygon of our high poly displayed right now in real time. And as you can see, no issue at all. We can even turn on ray tracing, right? And it's working perfectly fine. So there's not that big of an issue. Yeah, it's learning from myself, but it's mainly just like remembering how to do certain things, right? Because yeah, the steps, you forget about this. It's like cooking. If you're a chef, you're gonna have your what's the word? You're gonna have your which one am I gonna be using? Let's use this one. You're gonna have your freaking recipe book, right? And if they ever ask you to do a very, not very weird, but something that you don't cook often, you just need to go back, check your recipes, check your measurements, check your steps, and that's it. Once you see the steps, you can just do it like very, very quickly. But it's part of the process. Okay, that one right there. And yeah, this is just the basic like a VR template. The cool thing is we already have a character ready here inside of the element. How to drag multiple masks in the same size? You cannot do that, man. Unfortunately, you cannot do that. There's another method, I've shown it before, where you export a UV map and then you plan everything inside of Photoshop and then you bring in the UV map as a mask. That's what I would do if I need to do multiple things. Abe has every Adobe program, every Maxon program. No, Maxon, I only have Zbrush. I don't have Cinema or Redshift or anything. I do pay for the full Adobe suite, so I have Photoshop, After Effects, all those guys. I do pay for the Substance Design suite as well. Yeah, I paid like... I made the calculation the other day. I think I paid like $350 every month just for software licenses for the ones that I use. But what I do is when I'm not using something, I just cancel it. So for instance, Marbles Designer, I only buy like 3 or 4 months per year. And depending on if I'm using it or not, I'll just get a new one. So let's bring Dagger here. And let's just bring the Dagger real quick. Where is the Dagger? High poly, there we go. Boom. And very important, on this one, we do want to build nanite. because otherwise it's gonna just break. It's gonna be too much. Tornasoul says, I make videos for myself when I figure out tutorials. Well, it's really handy. Yeah, there you go. I missed the stream. Is there a video? Yeah, all of this is going to be available on YouTube, man. The only ones that we don't have available are the portfolio reviews. The portfolio reviews, what we do after we finish it is we split it into each individual submission, and we upload that into a secondary channel that we have. You can go and follow that one as well. It's called Leal Clips or Leal 3D Clips. And that way we give a little bit more spotlight to every single artist and hopefully open up more opportunities for people to see your work. Did you scrap your Bluestone Armored Goblin from a few months ago? Bluestone Armored Goblin? Did I do a blue? I don't remember I did a blue goblin. I stopped the Thor one, the female Thor. I haven't worked on that one yet. A Bluestone Armored Goblin? I don't remember that one. I don't remember that one. Well, let's hope Unreal can handle this. No, I'm not canceling. No, that one's the one that I'm not canceling. How much for Maya are you spending per month? No, Maya has the indie license, so I pay that once per year. It's like $300 or something like that, which is quite accessible, I would say. And you get like a full year, so that you can use Maya for commercial stuff. The Stone Dwarf, yeah, Stone Dwarf. The one with the wood, the stone face. I need to check that one. I don't remember, but it's probably on the whip pile. It's probably on the whip file for now. Thank you, Colin. Thank you. See you later, my friend. Yeah, we're gonna be stopping the stream as well soon. I just want to show you how this thing looks, because I want to see how it sort of like moves and flow with the movement of the body. And then we'll call it a day for today, okay? That's like $600 a year, I think. For what? For my full licenses? No. No, it's not that expensive. It's $300 per year for Maya. Yeah, that was that one's almost done. Like the high poly was almost there. How do you deal with having motivation to finish a project? I'm currently working on a huge ship and it's taking so much time for me. You don't rely on motivation, man. That's a very important one. You as artists, guys, and I'm gonna go full camera. As artists, emotions are important. Of course, you need to be motivated. Of course, you need to be happy. Of course, you need to be excited and you know, energized by the stuff that you're working on. But as an artist, you also need to learn how to work when you're sad, how to work when you're low in energy, how to work when you're angry. Because we cannot let the feelings control our work output. We need to be able to deliver and to create our stuff when we're not at our 100%. And you can ask this to anyone at the top level of any industry, athletes, lawyers, doctors, anyone. They're going to tell you, sometimes I'm not feeling that well and I still need to go and do what I'm supposed to be doing. I feel like as artists, we sometimes get that like passive, but because artists are very emotional and there's a lot of like inspiration going, they do need to be right. Yeah, but as humans, we're not going to be able to be at the best of our situation every single time. So you need to learn how to work even when you don't feel like working. My advice is try to do stuff when you're working on certain elements. Try to do stuff that are not as complicated, right? Like if you're doing a full environment and you don't want to work on the main piece because you're not feeling well that day, do a bucket, do a lamppost, do a freaking garbage can, like things that you know you're still gonna have to do, but they're a lot simpler to do, that don't require a lot of like mental energy from you, and that way you're working. And very often, once you start working, you're gonna start getting that energy back, and then you're gonna be inspired to work on the big stuff, right? So yeah, that's one of the advices that I have for that. Third person blueprints, BP third person. There we go. So what I'm gonna do here is again with the freaking music. If anyone knows, anyone at Chillhop, tell them what the hell does it just like suddenly stops? It interrupts the flow. It's not cool. So I'm gonna go here to the third person viewport blueprint. There we go. And the only thing I need to do is I need to attach the weapon to the character. So I'm gonna add a static mesh component. This static mesh component is going to be the dagger. There we go. And then I'm gonna grab the dagger. We're gonna rotate it. That's definitely way too big, right? So this is why it would be important to bring this into Maya and scale it properly and everything, but we're gonna have to sort of like hack our way around this. That seems a little bit more ideal. Just gonna have it there on the... I'm gonna stack it or attach it to the character. So where the character moved, this character is going to move, right? So if I were to move the character, dagger is going to move. But then I need to create a socket. So let me see if I have a socket here. Yeah, we have. So sockets are like attachment points. And what I can do is I can do the hand right socket. So hand right. Okay. So there you go. The socket is a little bit on a different position. That's fine. So can you see how the weapon is sort of like moving a little bit now? So I just need to sort of like offset this into the proper position. There we go. That will be roughly where I would expect the character to be grabbing the weapon. Oh, the camera is moving too fast. I'm going to just reduce the camera speed. There we go. Much better. Awesome. So ideally, we would need like a pose with the character where the character is like holding the weapon with a closed fist, right? But in this case, we're going to have to deal with this. Now, I'm going to add another static component. And this one's also going to be the dagger. There we go. We're also going to scale this down. And I'm going to find the socket. And in this case, it's going to be the left hand. There we go. Rotate this around. Have it right there. Again, this is just a quick test to sort of like feel, get a feel on how this thing would look, right? Let me just make sure that they're the same size. So scale 5 and scale 5. There we go. Compile. And awesome. Oh, man. I lost the YouTube chat. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. So that's it. Of course, again, the movement is not the right movement, but you can see the weapons in game. I think they look quite sick. I think they look quite sick if I may say so myself. Like they got a cool silhouette. They're interesting. We could like move them so that he's like or she is like pushing or attacking from the other side. But yeah, I like them. I think they look quite nice. Let me see if I can fix the YouTube stuff. Give me 1 second, guys. Live streaming. Are we still on? Do you guys still see me? Yeah, right? Yeah, here we are. Awesome. So let's pop out this chat here. Hey, my friend. Who just got here? Gamer, what's up, man? More Gaming says, you know the worst thing that happened to me is my mom said, why are you taking so long to finish making a character or part of a character? She said that because I have been practicing and learning for years now. And I said, because it's hard and slow, but that is not going to stop me. Then she said, you should quit. This AI is going to do it better for you. Oh, man, it's really tough that your mom said that. I guess I can understand a little bit of the fear, especially from older generations, seeing us do things like this that seem to be like a waste of time and they not understanding the process. So just it's gonna sound very harsh what I'm about to say, but just don't listen to her. Like if you see your progress, like if you see that you're moving forward and you're getting closer to your goal, just keep pushing, man. And yeah, just keep practicing, because as you mentioned, this is hard. Like doing this kind of stuff at the level that we want to do it definitely takes time. Kang Meow, thank you, my friend. Yeah, no, we're saying goodbye as well. I'm gonna stop the stream right now, my friends. I want to thank you, everyone, because we did a great stuff right here. Again, as I mentioned, I think the weapon here it's pretty much done. The high poly is finished. All of the sculpting that I want to do it's pretty much completed. So now the next stage is going to be high poly texturing eventually, but we're gonna skip next week. I have something prepared for next week that I want to show you guys, and we're gonna work on this later. Okay, so that's it, my friends. Thank you, David. Thank you, Alan, for being here as well. Thank you, everyone, for being part of this amazing community. If you like the content, please help us with a like, a share, a subscribe, a follow. It really helps with the channel and to keep this project going. If you want to learn more about the 3D world, of course, you know we have the courses on our site. Make sure to join our Discord where we share all of the important information for the things that we're doing. And that's pretty much it. I hope you guys have a great weekend. And don't forget, always learning, always improving. I'll see you back next week, my friends. Bye-bye.